Welcome to Millionaire Agents Secrets, uncovering the hidden gems to help you become the next $1 million agent. And here's your host, Milton Player.
Hi, it's Milton Player here, your host of Millionaire Agents Secrets, and today we have an up-and-coming star of the future, a future millionaire agent without a doubt. He's just got the talent, he's got the knack. His name's Shane Pope, and he's at eView in Mornington, Victoria. How are you, mate?
Good, Milton. Thanks for having me today. A real pleasure and an unexpected honour to be on your podcast. So thanks very much.
Pleasure, mate. I've heard some great things about you, so I thought we have to get you on and see what you can tell us. And you work with an amazing person, which we'll talk about soon.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. So let's start with this. What social group were you in at school? And how has that impacted your choices? And how's it impacted what's happened in your life and your career and where you've taken yourself?
Through high school, it was a bit of a mix for me. Played a huge amount of sport with school, for school, and outside of school. But then outside of those sporting teams, I didn't see those guys a lot. I had a real core group of guys that I trusted, and we were we all came from really close-knit families, and we were really into nerdy stuff, like comics and technology. And I guess it really just highlighted to me that it doesn't matter how many people that I would surround myself with in life or business. It was more who that I would do it with.
Right.
And that helped with selecting where I wanted to work, the kind of agent that I wanted to be, and how I would present myself to people and how I wanted to be perceived. I wanted that to be a true representation of who I felt I was. So I've always been very strong in the direction that I want to go, and I've never really wavered that for anybody.
That's great, mate. That's good persistency there and determination. And you started with, we were talking earlier about, with a Genman style system.
Yeah, so I came into the group via invitation. I ran a family business for 10 years. That closed, and I ran my own business for a year and a half, built a cleaning business from the ground up and sold it. And then a real estate agent's office in Mount Martha approached me and said, we'd like for you to come and do this training. And the training was excellent. It gave me a really broad scope view of the industry and what was possible and what was achievable. And then that office environment and myself personally didn't gel great. And then I finished up there sort of in about 3 months and wasn't sure what I was going to do. And a friend of mine actually said, go and speak with Jared Carmen at eView in Mornington. So I came over, I sent my eView through to Jared. My first interview with him went for an hour, and then I came back that night for another 4 hours, and we pretty much just hung out. And Jared and I, it was a really great fit. I didn't speak to anybody else. He agreed to take me on and sort of coach me and guide me and show me that there was a way you could do real estate without relying on, I guess, the old school tactics. He was really, he was a real front runner in this new school of openness and transparency and, making sure that your transactions always come from a place of what's best for the vendor and how can I help the vendor. And I've got to remark that mindset that he carries is in all of the guys in our office. And it's just such a positive place to be. So that's how I've ended up to where I am now.
Yeah, which is fantastic. And talking about Jared, he's done some remarkable things. He really is a mover and a shaker. You must find him quite an incredible mentor.
He's been, Jared and I have had this conversation a number of times. It's like, in a very positive sense, it's like working with my father. He's someone that if you ever have a question, what should I do next? Or how should I handle this? My default position is, what would Jared do? Or what would Jared say? And that has served me very, very well. I left Jared's team back in February, so I was his PA for a year. And the year before I joined his team, he was writing about 700 with one PA. And then he took on myself and another PA as well. And we wrote, I think we ended up writing just under 1.2 for the financial year. Right. Jared was away for some of the time. I was away for a month. There was a lot going on, but his numbers improved significantly with the addition of some really, not just myself, but with some other really good people as well.
Yeah, and I remember hearing a story about him, how I think he took the girls out once after hours and went to a shoe shop.
Yeah, so it's actually a really good story. He did do something for the guys individually, and I'll get to that. But for all of the female staff in the business, we had a really successful couple of months. And Jared is, and this stems from our directors down, so from Maria and Manos, David and Arthur at Frankston head office, all the way down through the company, they recognize and celebrate all milestones. And we had 3 record months in a row. So Jared organised in secret, didn't tell anyone. They had dinner across the road from our shop, and then they went to a shoe store down the road. It was like a scene from Pretty Woman, apparently. They opened the doors after hours, and he walked them all in and said there was champagne and food and things for them at the shop. And he said, you girls can pick any shoes that you like. It's just my way of saying thanks. So that was a pretty amazing story. For some of the guys individually, my personal experience with Jared was we were creating a video for the office, and the day before or the morning of, from memory, my suit got like food on it, or it got ripped. I can't remember. Anyway, the next thing I know, he whisked me out of the office, took me straight down the road. We had a suit fitted, and he just bought me a brand new suit. Wow. Because he knew how important it was for us to feel good about ourselves in the video, and he wanted the company to be represented well, and it tied in with some work that I'd done for him. And that's just the kind of guy he is. He's extremely generous with his time. For a man that sells over 100 homes a year, he seems to have time for everyone. He's quite an incredible guy to be around. It's really humbling to see someone with, a family, 4 children, a business with 25 staff. You knock on his door and he just says, come in, sit. He's a great mentor.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. There must be 5 of them inside him.
It feels like it sometimes. He has a great team around him, but when you get to spend some time with him and just sit, a lot of what I do and a lot of the direction I'm heading in is based purely on what that man does. He's just such an inspiration for so many. He's really great.
And has he encouraged you to seek other mentors, inspiration from other areas, to listen to certain things, to read certain books? And
always. We do a lot of training with Glenn Twiddle. We do a lot of training with Aaron Sansoni. Within the office, we refer a lot to guys like Chris Gilmore, Steinway, Tostovan, these sort of guys. So guys who we perceive as having clear goals and a plan and structure to achieve them. These are the guys we talk about. These are the guys that we emulate. And what it does is the environment within the office is always jovial. It's always happy. But when it's time to get some work done, it's a really great place to come in and focus. Even it's a total open plan office. No one has an office. It's just a floor. Right. But in the coaching that getting back to those coaches, guys like Aaron and Glenn, Gilmore, Steinway, Tostovan, these kinds of guys, Marcus Chiminello, Glenn Catino, these guys are our inspiration for how we work. Yeah. And I do a lot of their reading. I've met a lot of those guys. I would like to meet the rest of them, but I do a lot of training with those guys when I get the chance.
Yeah, and Aaron did the Empire Mastery course, didn't he? How did you find that in Melbourne?
Empire Mastery was good. That was a real eye-opener. On the back of that, I actually started some community pages on Facebook. I started another business with another guy who I took to Empire Mastery, who was starting one of his own. So now I've got 2 or 3 things cooking in the background, as well as my real estate career. So if any one of them take off, that'd be great. But I'm happy doing what I'm doing in Jared's office.
Yeah, exactly. Just make sure you get the blood pressure medication ready.
I just got to keep it down.
Exactly, mate. Your area, Mornington's an interesting area. Tell me about that. Is it mostly mums and dads type area? Is it investors coming in? Is it gentrifying?
Our general market, Mornington as a suburb, is mostly 2-income households, right. With average property prices being between 600,000 and 900,000. It's more scaling towards the 900,000 now, but to give you an example of the unique nature of our layout, I have a particular farm area, or BDA as some guys might call it, and it's about 900 homes, and they vary in price from 450,000 to about 1.8 million, and that can be in the space of about 500 metres. So the closer you get to the beach, and the different size blocks, and the zoning is really irregular in some parts of Mornington, so you can find that you'll do a lot of appraisals in the same area, and you might pull up at one house and it's got there'll be no grass in the front yard. There'll be skips where people are preparing and doing their renovation because it's been there for 60 years. Wow. And then you'll go into the next street and there is just a mansion that's been built with beachfront property, like a balcony and glass and concrete and modern and architecturally designed. And it's there's quite a varying range of homes in a very small area in Mornington. It's really interesting.
Yeah, beautiful area too, isn't it? Beautiful spot.
Yeah, we have some really good wineries. We've got golf courses, a lot of open parks areas for dogs, and a lot of play areas for children, basketball courts. The beach spans the length of Mornington, and you can pretty much use all of it, it's fantastic. So everyone has access to those great features of Mornington. I love it.
Yeah, gorgeous place. How do you prospect?
I've actually just started a new prospecting plan recently. We've been doing a couple of different for us. I was running off purely database, and I really wanted to ramp up the amount of appraisals I was getting. So Adam Giroux has just joined our office. He was with Coca-Cola Amatil for 17 years as their national brand manager. So he knows a thing or two about marketing, and we've actually gone back to basics. As of 2 weeks ago, we're doing a 90-day blitz. So there is 4,500 homes getting hit twice monthly with letterbox drops. And every single home, if we've got the data, gets followed up with a phone call. Once the data's been called through, we go back and we start knocking everything. So it's been a little quiet down here, and we're just doing assaulting letterboxes, phones, and door knocking. We're even dropping around other agents' boards, like just letting you know your neighbours have listed. We never obviously drop on those other people's boards, but we're just trying to incite as much activity as we can because we have great relationships with good buyers. We literally are turning properties over before they hit the market in 2 and 3 days in some cases. So it's that's what we're doing at the moment.
So it's obviously still a very happy market there down in Melbourne.
Yeah, it is. If you can get the stock at the moment, you can sell it. And in most cases, if you've got the relationship with a buyer, you generally negotiate the purchase price before you get the listing. It's quite odd that we're able to do that, but we've got a couple of guys in our office. Joel Hood springs to mind. He's turning into $1 million performer as we speak. He's literally doing the numbers each month that will add up. And he has a team with a buyer's agent whose sole existence is just phone through buyers from OFIs. And they've put together, I think in the last 3 months, he probably would have sold somewhere between 9 and 12 homes off market. No marketing, no boards, nothing's been done just because we have relationships with buyers. Working the buyers when it's quiet has been one of the most fruitful things we've done this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have when you do a listing presentation, have you got a certain strategy that you do? Do you have a set formula? Do you start with walking around, then go to rapport, then go to pricing, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, it is. It's reasonably, it's structured in terms of how we like to approach the layout of the listing presentation, but it is a reasonably fluid one because for me personally, knock on the door, depending on how I met them, I acknowledge that. And then I ask, do you mind if we just have a sit and a quick chat before I see you home? And that's probably the most important thing, because if we can sit, if I can engage with these people and have a quick chat before we do the walk around, they might tell me things about their kids or the sporting team that they follow, or they might be interested in music, or find something that we can connect on. And then as we're walking around the home, you circle back to that. You come back to those things that you have in common, and it builds rapport, and with rapport comes trust. Yeah. And once you've got rapport and trust with someone, it becomes infinitely easier to sign the listing up, and they believe that you're there to help them. And once you have that belief from them, all of your conversations they're open, they're transparent, they're honest. When you present them with a good deal or a good offer, they'll more than likely take it. It's very rare that we have a property from anyone in our office list, go to market, get an offer, and then leave. If that happens, I think I can think of it happening once on a piece of land since February the 19th last year. So, and we've done probably 300 transactions in that time. So it's a very small number of people based on the way we do business that pull out at the end.
Yeah, which is great to hear. So do you have a marketing structure that you do, a way of advertising that's a little bit different to the rest, or is everyone similar in how they market down there?
In terms of internally within our office, we're all reasonably similar. We focus a lot on brochures, photo boards for properties because of value perception. Our data shows us that properties that have photos on the board out the front tend to sell for more. It's just a value perception that we get from buyers. So we encourage that on everything. If the vendors, if they don't see value on it or refuse to pay for it, we'll actually just do it ourselves because we believe in it that much. Videos are a very strong part of what we do, whether they're our personal profile videos or whether it's a profile video for the property itself. We try and do those for all. A new angle that we're taking with our videos is that we incorporate the vendors of the home in an interview style of the home. And I'll send you a link for some of the videos that we've done. And basically what it is you're asking a real person why that home has been so good for them. And it helps with the feedback we get is phenomenal, but it helps with buyers connecting with the home because they can see that it's real. It's not just been done up with a wide angle lens and the shots look beautiful and they get there and the walls are a different color or there's crap everywhere, or it just gives it a sense of realism that, and the buyers really, I've found, have bought into that. So videos is a massive part of what we do.
Yeah, no, exactly. That sounds great. And I love that idea. It's a beautiful idea and just shows the kinesthetic, the feel for it as well. What about, do you have a closing style or a structure for closing?
I generally don't have a structure for closing. I will, along the way, I'll do trial closes, things like when we're doing the walk around, when the photographer comes through, I'd love to have the shot from this side of the room for these reasons. And if I get no objection from them about that, then they assume that I'm just going to call the photographer. So trial closing is a massive thing. I find if you get objections to trial closing immediately, the rapport's not there, you need to come back off the conversation in what you were talking about and get back to knowing the people. So provided you don't progress too fast through the conversation, the closing style is generally trial all the way through, and then at the very end say, let's get started. That's generally the biggest thing that I'll do.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to Jared, if you could name 3 things that he's taught you that you found to be the most influential on you, that's had the most impact, what would you say?
The 3 most influential things Jared has taught me.
Yeah, whether they're strategies that he employs, whether they're systems or ideas or philosophies, any of those sort of things.
Systems is a big one. He's really put me in place with structure and systems in terms of when someone says, I'd like to see you for an appraisal, from the moment you get that phone call or that information to the point where you sit in front of them, there is a real structure in place. You drop out a pre-appraisal kit that has books and information about you. If you can, you get a colleague to drop it out and they give you a rock star introduction. The amount of business that Jared was able to secure last year on the back of a rock star introduction was phenomenal, and he would close it all out at 3%, generally without objection, because before he got there, people believed that he was the very best agent and was worth every cent of 3%. So that was one of the biggest things, was structure from, inquiry for an appraisal to getting to the house. Probably the other 2 things that I've learned from Jared is to be kind. Not that I'm not a kind person, but when you deal with a buyer who's quite prickly or someone who is a bit aggressive in nature, just immediately take a look at yourself, make sure you're not doing anything to upset them, and then put yourself in their shoes. What are they looking for? What response are they looking for that will make them happy, so that you can then talk with them honestly and openly. And the third thing is definitely support for the people around you. It's not enough to be a good operator. It's not enough to be a hard worker. It's not enough to lead from the front. You really have to, at times, just drop tools and help someone else. And you get no return from it other than doing the right thing. But what that has done for our team in the office is just been, there's a number of stories where we all just drop tools, whether it's helping a vendor, helping a colleague. You just go and do the right thing. And that is something that he says and he lives, and that permeates through the office. And that's something that I've drawn from him quite strongly. It's really excellent to be around.
I love that. Yeah, that's fantastic. And that just creates such an incredible team environment, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a fantastic team environment. From our administrative staff to our rental department to our sales department, anybody can walk into any area, anytime, ask for questions or help. And it's not just a flick me an email or a look over the shoulder. They'll stop what they're doing, they turn around, you converse, and we're really connected with the people at work. And that is a really strong selling point of eView to potential vendors. And when we say that to people and we show them our examples of sales and how we've got multiple people involved in sales process, they love that we are a genuine team of people that they employ that work together and help sell their property for the most.
Yeah, exactly right. It reminds me of an analogy, and I'm paraphrasing this one. It was called Heaven's Spoons. and it was this fellow asked the wise elder what his definition of heaven and hell was. And he said, hell is you're sitting at a dinner table with all the people that you know and love, and there's the most amazing banquet in front of you. And it's just all the food that you dream about. And the only problem is that the spoons are longer than your arm. So you can't. Oh. And he said, oh, right, okay, so what's the definition of heaven? And the wise elder said, exactly the same scenario, but, and the spoons are the same length, but everyone's feeding each other. So it's just,
yeah, very cool. That's actually a really, really good way of looking at our office, because it's funny you say that. I really like that analogy. A lot of offices on Main Street have a lot of really good sales staff and sales professionals in them, but I think they're all trying to feed themselves with the wrong spoons. Yeah, we definitely feed each other here. That's great. Yeah,
it makes all the difference, and no wonder you guys are just killing it at the moment, but also a great leader as well. What about buyers? Have you got any way that you work with buyers, anything special or different or unique?
I don't know that it's unique. I think the difference between eView and anybody else that I could name in Mornington is that we actually work with buyers. We treat them like gold. Getting a listing is very difficult, but if you don't have anyone to sell it to, or if no one trusts you or likes you to buy it from you, it's very hard to get the best price for the vendor. So what we do with our buyers is we talk to them. That's all it is about us that makes us special. We talk with buyers. I've got testimonials on my website, on my Facebook page, from people who say, Shane didn't list my house, but he pointed me into the right direction. And I've sold houses for other agencies because I know that a house they've got is the right one for that buyer. So you ring the buyer, make sure they know about it. And that will come back to you in time, but not every deal is about yourself. Every deal is obviously about the vendor or the purchaser. So the biggest thing we do with buyers is actually talk to them. We don't just do the automatic email updates. We do that. It's not just a text message. It's an actual phone call to say, hey, just letting you know, we've got this off market, or have you seen this one come on? And you might only, a hot buyer who's financed and ready to go, you might call them once a week. Someone who's looking in the market once a fortnight, and someone who's just started probably once a month until they really decipher what it is that they want.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you the only agency in your area that does a lot of the off-market sales?
No, there is one other agency that does a lot of off-market, but it's just one particular agent within that office. Yeah. But in our office, it's not uncommon. I'm pretty sure everyone that's in there now has had at least one off-market sale this year since February. So it's 11 guys. Some of them have done multiples. So we would have done maybe 30 off-market, nearly 35 off-market this year alone.
Wow, that's incredible. So with negotiations, Jared taught you a way to negotiate, a certain style, certain phrases to use, certain scripts, like that?
So not scripts. Certainly, we do a lot of training in recognizing what sort of a person it is that we're dealing with, whether they respond better to information, whether they respond better to being spoken to directly, or if they prefer visual cues, if the conversation is to be quite an emotional one. It depends on the purchaser. We do a lot of training in how to actually read people so that we can best service them. Because if you have someone who is completely analytical, who's an investor and just wants to talk numbers, and you're talking about the beautiful walk to the beach and how lovely it's going to be in summer when they can entertain on the deck, and they don't care. You're talking the wrong kind of features of that property to the wrong kind of buyer. So we do a lot of Aaron Sansoni training, and we also do disc profiling, which highlights what kind of a person you are. And when you're aware of how you behave, you can then modify that to suit people so you can best negotiate with them. But a lot of what we do in negotiation is people reading rather than scripts and dialogues. That does come into it a little bit, but it's certainly about presenting the right information about the property to the person in a way that they'll actually receive it and they go, hey, that sounds good. I do want that house more than those other people. I'll pay another X, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're going to have some great influence on someone, perception's the number one key, isn't it, really? And you were saying...
Yeah, absolutely.
You were saying disc learning. So explain that. Who taught you that and where did you hear that from?
Disc profiling is something that you can get from a psychologist or a behavioral psychotherapist. and you answer a bunch of questions with the intent of answering it about, your personal life or work or your home life. And then they'll give you some feedback on what areas you're really strong in, whether you're a dominant personality, whether you're supportive, whether you're intuitive, or whether you're analytical. Mm-hmm. And when you get a good understanding of how you naturally behave, you can moderate or influence your own behavior so that you can be received better by other people. So if you're dealing with someone who's very analytical, it can be really good if you're quite direct and just present them with numbers and data. But if you're dealing with someone who is buying their family home and they're going to have kids there, it might be better if you sit back, ask them about themselves, how they see themselves in the home in the future, what it would mean to them to purchase that home. So you'd be talking about the same property two completely different ways with two completely different people.
Yeah. All right. No, sounds great. Yeah. So, all right, mate, what's the hardest, say, most grueling thing you've gone through so far in real estate? And how have you overcome it?
The hardest, most grueling thing that I've gone through in real estate would have to be, Jared's just walking past looking at me smiling. I think that the hardest thing that I would have had to go through in real estate was believing that I'm good enough. When I was on Jared's team, I was fed warm leads, well-priced listings and a database of people, and it was just close. Naturally, my skill set is in closing from my previous work history, and that was great. When I stepped out onto my own in February of this year, and I requested it this way, it was cold. It was a total cold start. I had to make my own way in the world. And I had some real moments of, I don't think I can list. I don't think I'm good enough to do this. Yeah. And Jared gave me some help and some tuition, but the biggest thing for me was believing that, what Jared did was nothing special. And I say that with respect. He just did the right thing by people. Mm-hmm. And I had probably in about early March. So I've been on walking the beat for about 5 weeks on my own, hitting letterboxes. It turned, I got a phone call. I had a meeting. And it took me 30 minutes to close out 22 listings on 2 development sites at 3.3%. And I rang, one of the sites was in Hastings, and I rang my director in Hastings and said, look, I'd really like to get your help on this one. And he said, what's the address? And we spoke for a minute. He goes, I've been trying to close that deal for 2 years.
Wow.
So when I got that feedback from him, I was like, okay, I'm in the right place. I'm doing the right thing. But that self-belief from there really propelled me forward. My next listing was a $1.8 million beachfront home in Mornington. And that same director rang me and said, mate, in your first month, you've listed 3 projects and homes that some guys will work their whole career and never even get in the door. So it was really humbling to hear that from someone like Dom, who I really respect. And that gave me the self-belief that I was in the right place. I can really help these people, and I'm in the right office to be growing and doing this the way I am.
Yeah, that's fantastic, mate. And I've heard some great things about you too. So you really are going to kill it, and already are starting to kill it anyway. If, let's say, you were starting again from scratch today, you were brand new today, what is the one action, or what would you do? What's the one thing that you would do?
If I was cold, I had no phone numbers, I had no addresses, no contacts. If I had nothing but a desk and a phone, I would put a marketing plan in place. I'd get in touch with a company that does drops. I'd organise to do 2 drops a month. If you haven't got the money to do it, you just have to find it, because hitting letterboxes, making sure that people know your face is associated with real estate is very, very important. The other thing I would do would be door knock. If you've got a farm area, door knock. If you don't have a farm area, go and door knock around your listings, around other people's listings, and say something along the lines of, history shows us that when a neighbour sells, there's a 25% chance that someone else was thinking of moving. Is that you? It can be that basic.
Yeah.
You just have to talk to people. That would be definitely what I would be doing, is talking to people. You can't sell if you don't have anyone to talk to.
No, that's perfect. What about, how do you market yourself? Do you do any personal marketing? And I know you're good on social media.
Yeah, I do. I do a fair bit of social media marketing. I run my personal. I mean, your personal page as a real estate agent is your brand.
Yeah.
You can't really hide from your you can't split your social life and your real estate life, because you are your brand, especially with the way we market now. So I run a personal page, which is, got wife and family and everything on there. And there's nothing untoward ever on there. I'm not a big party or anything like that. So I run a business page as well, which is just my name. It's not Shane Pope Real Estate Agent or Shane Pope this or Shane Pope that. It's just Shane Pope and my work post. It has about 25% real estate content, and the rest is local things in Mornington. Live videos is a really great way to get interaction. And I consider live videos like letterbox dropping. It's not specific. No one sees a live video of me, getting a haircut and goes, oh God, I must list with that guy. But when you reach 12,000 people overnight organically on Facebook from getting a haircut and making a bet with the local barber, it can be really, it just raises your profile in the area. So I do that. I also have a community page that I started recently with my wife, and it's called I Love Mornington. So that's the suburb that we're in. It's on Facebook at I Love Mornington. We have ilovemornington@gmail.com. And on Instagram, we have at I Love Mornington. So we basically bought the brand name for that suburb. I would encourage everyone who's watching this to go out and start that, because overnight we had over 600 likes totally organically. We're now getting businesses in Mornington share our page. We go in, we do a photo with them. And the whole point of that in terms of prospecting and profiling is that I personally walk in and go, hi, this page is to do with Mornington, nothing to do with real estate. I'm Shane from eView. Would you like to go on our page? We'd love to get involved with good quality local businesses. And, they've all said yes so far. Everyone says yes to us. So as be able to service those local businesses, highlight good deals, good deeds, along with a couple of charities as well. But social media is a really strong one for me. And I get leads on Facebook at least 2 a month. People give me a call and say, hey, mate, I have to talk to you because you're doing this or you're doing that. And it's because it's in their phones all day. Whenever you go out to a restaurant, you have a look. People don't read the paper or magazines. They look at their phones. They'll be sitting there celebrating an 80th birthday and they still look at their phones. So if you want to be in front of people, get on their phones.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic advice. And those billboards aren't worth much anymore, are they?
It depends where it is, but I would rather sink my money into Facebook-specific advertising, test and measure the response, and really just flood people's news feed until they get so annoyed like it's a letterbox, they just have to call you.
Yeah, that's right. That sounds good to me. Do you market your properties on Facebook as well? Do you do Facebook marketing?
I do some of the property on Facebook. It's more profile advertising for me on Facebook at the moment.
Yeah.
I still find that if you want to advertise a property, realestate.com obviously is the main portal. But beyond that, I'll do private websites, SMS inquiry lines, so people can text the address to a number. They'll get all of the information they need about it. Because they've done that, we actually get their mobile number straight away, whereas they don't always do it on realestate.com. And I find the inquiry on that is about 20% of what we're able to generate from realestate.com. So it's pretty good numbers at the moment for the money we're investing in it.
Yeah, that is fantastic, isn't it? Mm. If you could go back, say, 10 years ago now and tell yourself one thing.
Don't play football. If I could tell myself one thing 10 years ago, I'm 30, so 10 years ago I was 20. 10 years ago I probably would have said, leave my family business earlier. I love my parents dearly. They're two of my closest friends as well as being my parents. And I would have stayed in our business. If it had never shut, I would have just run that. But the opportunity that I've been afforded and the learning that I've been afforded within real estate, specifically Jared Carmen, Maria and Manos Findakakis from Frankston, from head office at eView there. It's just helped me grow in such a way that, I met my wife, I got married, I bought a couple of houses now, and I never had those goals. I never had those aspirations. It was just, I was always going to just keep going and working and being happy. But having met these people and got into real estate, it's really challenged me to be the very best version of myself, which sounds a bit corny, but I try and do it every day. And the people around me are pretty happy with me, I think. Otherwise, they would tell me.
Yeah, well, absolutely, mate. No, exactly right. What do you think is a personal habit that you believe contributes to your success?
health and fitness religiously. Have been going to the gym for about 11 years. And your fitness goes in peaks and troughs. The same with eating. Like, it can't be a strict and clean eating process all the time. You have to treat yourself, but certainly maintaining a healthy body helps with maintaining a healthy mind. That's one of the most important things that I just fundamentally believe. So always try and maintain your health and fitness, because it's directly linked with your mind. I find that it is, and that's worked really well for me over the years. Yeah,
I agree 100%. Well, we'll finish with one thing which might be a curveball for you. First, before we do that, do you have a routine? Do you have a set routine?
In terms of?
Just during the week, like morning.
My daily? Yeah, my daily routine.
Yeah.
We do now as I mentioned before, Adam Giroux starting with us. He needed some help with getting some structure. We reply to all of our emails, and when that's finished, we'll go and powwow for 10 or 15 minutes and just have a break and get set. And then we'll go and we'll make phone calls to our BDAs cold, and then in the afternoon we'll door knock, and that's every single day. And if you make 30 phone calls and get 15 connects, you mark it down, you end up making about 60 connects a week in terms of people you've spoken to on the phone. That's probably the main routine that we have is we prospect 5 days a week. The mornings are precious. That's when you call people. No appointments in the mornings, nothing before 11. It's just speaking to people on the phone. Once you tick that time off, go and be a little bit more relaxed with your time. But that routine is great. My other routine that is absolutely squared away solid is that Sunday is family day. Mm-hmm. And the only time you will get me doing something real estate on a Sunday is if someone is going to buy a property and it will sell, or if they're going to list a property on the Sunday. It's the only time I'll leave my wife, and I think that's the only time that's acceptable for me personally. But you have to be disciplined with your time. You have to be strict, because it's too easy to say yes all the time. And if you don't value your own time, then nobody else will.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So the curveball, has there been anything funny or strange happened in your career that you can tell us about?
Anything funny or strange? That actually, yes, just the other day, what we're doing at the moment, our office is giving away a Mazda MX-5. So for somebody who lists and sells before the end of November, and it goes unconditional by November 30, we will be drawing the name out of a hat. We put on a family fun day, which we advertise as well. And I had 5,000 brochures printed up for my first month that have dropped out. And one of the PAs in the office accidentally grabbed a box of my flyers and dropped them in another agent's BDA in their entirety. Which is humorous. In our office, that's funny. It's pretty funny. Yeah, you copped a bit of a ribbing for a couple of days. We offered to replace the flyers and re-drop them, and which is a great offer. But I said to her, "Don't worry about it. The chances of someone calling off that one brochure to me, and if they did, I give it to Tony anyway." So that's probably the funniest thing that's happened, I think, recently, is handing out the wrong flyers.
Yeah, he'll love you. You're doing him a service there.
Yeah, he was. Everyone was they were pretty happy about it at the meeting. And we told it at the national meeting this morning as well. So everyone got a good out of it earlier on.
Perfect, mate. Well, thank you very much, Shane. I better let you go to do your prospecting soon. So
thank you so much, Milton. It's been a real pleasure and quite an honour to be on the program with you today. So thanks very much.
It's great to have you, mate. We'll talk to you in another few years when you're powering even more.
Excellent. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. All the best.
Bye now.
Bye, Shane. Cool. That's good. They'll edit the balance out, mate. So it was great. Really
awesome. Good. Thanks, mate. Happy with that?
Yeah, absolutely happy with it, buddy. It was sensational. So, yeah, thank you very much.
I can't wait. So when will it go live? When will the product be aired?
Yeah, it probably won't be. It'll be live in about 3 weeks, somewhere around there.
Yeah, cool. Just get me posted. I'd love to be able to show it to people. I'm proud of being able to be a part of something as quality as this. So thank you.
No, I appreciate it, mate. And what I'll do for you when the time comes out, I'll let you know. And I can do a little quick promotion video for you. You can put on your Facebook page, and that way all the people there will come and watch.
That would be amazing. I would love that, Milton. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, Shane. I'll chat to you later, man.
Cool. Thanks, mate. Have a great day.
You too. All the best.
Bye now.
Bye, mate.
Thank you for listening to Millionaire Agents Secrets. Want 5 times more listings? Go to www.miltonplayer.com for a free cheat sheet.